let everybody go on.
Yep. No worries.
And then we'll get going. It looks like we got a lot of the folks on there. I think we got Shonda.
It's the same way with my Zoom meetings. That's why everybody's like, why are you always 8 minutes late? I'm like, because none of you fuckers are ever on the meeting.
Okay. Well, no, it's a pretty good crowd. Lee, is there anybody else that you invited that should be on? She's probably getting her cup of Joe.
Hey there. Hey. Let me see the participants, but as long as Carly and the Chris's are here, then we're good to rock and roll.
So Carly is not, and she didn't get this. Let me forward it to her right now. She's probably.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Doing well.
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Lee. I've spoken to you.
You are Lee?
I am Lee. Yes, I am.
I'll be damned. Put a face with a name.
Yeah.
I am.
Nice
I cried.
to see you.
Wow, I've never met you. I'll be damned.
I know. We've talked.
You got quite the team here, Lee.
Hey, it started. Rocky's really rocked and rolled and blown this up, but planted some seeds in this process for sure. And I appreciate your insight for that.
Yeah,
that's right. I sent it to Carly. She's the only one not on there, Lee. If you may just reach out and say.
I'll message her. Yeah.
Okay, good. I sent it to her anyway. So, all right. Well, let me go ahead and get started. We're going to be respecting Paul Nolan's time on this. I keep it to about a half hour is what I promised him. So, just to kick it off and maybe frame, and we can go a little bit over the edges if we want, but Paul is owner of a roofing company. He's been in this business in terms of, dealing with canvassers, canvassing teams, building teams, and how to refine the process of being a successful roofer was it over 20 years, Paul?
God, no, not 20, probably 15 now.
15.
Still making bad decisions 20 years ago.
Boy, yeah, you look pretty great, man, buddy, for 15 years in this business. Okay.
Thanks.
So, and he's got some best practices. He was sharing some of those with me the other day, and I said, God, and specifically about how to approach a customer when you're trying to get a claim filed. When you're at the inspection and you're trying to say, okay, after this inspection, if there's damage, we want to get the claim filed and get an LOI, or let's just call it the claim filed. And Paul said, God, I got to practice. It's a 4-step plan that I approach, and it's very successful once you kind of get it wired and learn it. And it's a very good approach to a customer. So I asked Paul, I said, hey, could you share that with my team? He said, yeah. So real specific. So I'm going to let Paul go through that, and then definitely we're going to open this up for questions, and maybe kind of pick up what kind of maybe certain situations you guys might run into, and Paul can help us out on those. And anything else around that would be fine. And then that's what today's training is. So,
all right, thanks, Paul. So,
yeah, thank you, man.
All right, guys. No, my pleasure, dude. Paul helps me tremendously, so it's nice to be able to return the favor. What I would like to do, though, if you guys are decent, is if I could see y'all's faces, that'd be great. On my own Zoom meetings, I say if you're decent because I told everybody I'd like to see their faces on my last Zoom meeting. Some dude turned his camera on, his shirt was off. I was like, Wayne, put a shirt on. You got one meeting. It's one meeting a week, Wayne. Last 30 minutes. You can't wear a shirt. And so anyway, that way, at least I can kind of see your reactions and stuff. Plus, I want to ask a question. Is anybody on this call offended by profanity? No? Okay. Look, Paul's like, let's keep it, NC-17. Look, there's Stoppleworth.
Never use it, never have, never will.
Do you really not use profanity?
God damn it, get going.
All right, there we go. I was going to say, you're a roofer, for God's sake. Right. So I like to ask that because I've offended people every once in a while because I cuss like a motherfucker, right? So, and guys, I'm going to give you my background just so you kind of understand where I'm coming from, right? And my background's it's not, you know, it's not pretty, right? So I grew up in Marietta. I made a whole lot of bad decisions in my early 20s. You know, had a pretty healthy drug problem. Went to prison, jail. Probably, you know, spent at least a year in prison, several months, and different stints in jail. Cumulatively, several years of my life have been spent behind bars. Got out of prison in 2007. Applied for jobs everywhere. I've got 4 cocaine felonies. No one would hire me. Shocker. No one. Payless shoes, nowhere on Barrett Parkway. I literally rode a bicycle down. I lived in a neighborhood with a friend for free, which I've got a whole side story there. There's a lot of funny things occurred then, but one of them was I was riding a bicycle to the stores on Barrett Parkway, trying to find trying to get a job. And one of my old friends from high school was like, "Hey man, I saw you riding. Do you want to go hit the trails this weekend?" He's like, "Are you into mountain biking?" I was like, "No, fucker. Did you miss the suit?" Like, I was riding for transportation, not for fun. No, I don't want to ride this bike on the weekend. I'm riding it up and down Barrett Parkway looking for a job. And so anyway, I got a job selling cars at Cherokee Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Canton, Riverstone Parkway. And a guy came in. My wife was in elementary school at elementary school teacher at Hayes Elementary School off Kennesaw due West Stylesboro. And we barely, I mean, you know, I'm sorry, we weren't married at the time. We had started dating a few weeks after I got out of prison, and, you know, one thing led to another. We were married relatively quickly, though, probably within a year. We're still married to this day. She's a wonderful woman, but we could barely pay the bills. And so I sold a truck to a guy. This guy came in 2008. And his name was Chad Connolly. And Paul, you know, Complete Roofing. He was a salesman. He was like, you know, you guys, he was a salesman for Roofing Systems of Atlanta. And I didn't know the guy. And I'm looking at his proof of income, and it's like, you know, 10 grand, 15 grand, 12 grand a month. I was like, "What do you do?" He's like, "I sell roofs." I was like, "All right, who's buying a fucking roof?" He's like, "No, man." I was like, "There's a shortage and a recession and shit. Like, people are buying milk. And, you know, he can't even buy gas." And he was like, "Oh man, it's insurance restoration. You know, Metro Atlanta gets hit, you know, with an average of like 5 cat storms a year. And the insurance pays for the roof." I was like, "Yeah, but then your premium goes up." And he was like, "No, it doesn't go up. It's a no fault claim. It's an act of God claim." And I was like, "There's no fucking way that's legit. There's no way." Right. So part of the story I left out was when I turned 18, I started selling stuff door to door. I started selling newspaper subscriptions and magazines and steaks and fish out of the back of the truck, whatever I could. And I'd go door to door, and I'd work 6 to 9 Monday through Friday. And I'd make, you know, back then, I mean, I was 18 years old. I was making probably close to $1,000 a week. And I was like, "This is great." And then every 3 months, I'd be like, "You know what? I'm getting tired of getting cussed out, tired of the awkward hours. Fuck this." And I'd quit, and I'd get a real job. And then after about 5 days of waking up at 8 a.m. and going to a job and getting fucking bossed around all day, and then going home and making, you know, a small amount of money, I was like, "This is why I sell shit door to door. Okay, this is why I'm in sales." So I always went back to sales. So anyway, this guy told me I could sell roofs. Went home and Googled it. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is legit. How easy of a sale is this?" Knock, knock, knock. "Hey man, how you doing? My name's Paul. I'm with, you know, my company's Regal. I'm with Regal Roofing. I'm with Dr. Roof. You know, we're in the neighborhood doing free roof inspections to see if you have enough damage to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof." Right. So, I mean, that's my base pitch. But the reason the background is important, guys, because the opportunity in this industry is almost limitless, right? There's more potential customers than any of us can ever get to in our lifetimes, right? There's more business than we could ever satisfy. We never have a shortage of storms. We have 5 or 6 storms a year. It's recession proof, right? I started my first company in 2009 after I worked for a company that had burned me, and you know, my business was booming. And I was telling people it was hard because 2009. I don't know how many of you guys remember 2009. It's hard to pinpoint ages, right? 2009 was rough, and people were like, "How's it going?" I was like, "I'm fucking killing it." And they're like, "Oh, that's great. You know, we're starving." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm doing okay, I guess." And so anyway, guys, I learned the hard way how to close deals. So I went to apply for jobs at roofing companies. A lot of them could not hire me as well. They were more corporate structured than a lot of other roofers. They wouldn't hire felons. It was what it was. Got a job with the company Cedar Valley Exteriors, started selling door to door for them. I would work for them probably to this day. If they hadn't screwed me, they went bankrupt. You know, at the time, I think they owed me like $15,000 in commissions, which was absolutely monumental for me, right? That was, you know, that feeling when something goes wrong in your life and you literally want to vomit. You're like, fuck, what am I going to do? That was the feeling I had. I was like, what am I going to do? I can't, you know, my power is going to get shut off. And it did. My power got cut off every 3 months. You know, I had to pay. Anybody ever had their power cut off? My power bill was always like $125 at the place we lived back then. It was a $100 reconnect fee. So they're like, hey, it's $100 to reconnect. And I'm like, yeah, well, obviously I don't have that because the fucking bill was 118. So if I couldn't pay that, is it reasonable to assume that I got 100 for the reconnect fee? And, you know, so me and my wife took cold showers many days anyway. So I started my own company. I thought to myself, how hard can this be? So I'd go door to door. And initially I thought to myself, it's great to just get names and phone numbers and follow up. And I taught the guys that were selling under me, just knock doors, say, hey, what's up? My name's Paul. I'm with, you know, Dr. Roof. And, you know, you may have roof damage. You have an older roof. You know, we do the inspection. It's free, blah, blah, blah. Let me get your name and phone number and I'll follow up with you and see when you have time for me to come out, et cetera, et cetera. Then I realized that that was not a really good recipe for success. So I started knocking doors and doing inspections on site and say, hey, what's up? My name's Paul. You know, I'm out here doing roof inspections. There's a lot of storms that have come through the area. You know, and the most recent storm that you guys have up there is January 10th, Paul?
Yeah, that's about right.
Paul's like, I don't fucking know. Yeah. Paul's too
January
busy.
12th.
12. Paul's too busy looking at P&L reports. Lee knew the date. But, you know, so then I started inspecting on the spot. And then I realized that, you know, my closing ratios, the reason I'm giving you guys all this background is to tell you that I'm a hell of a door-to-door salesman. I don't do a lot of things great. There's a lot of things I don't do well. I am a fucking phenomenal door-to-door roofing salesman. And the way that I became that way was that I was starving to death and I had to figure out a way to succeed because I have too many felonies and too much limited opportunity. Failure was not an option, right? If I didn't hit my numbers, like we didn't eat. If I saw my wife with Publix bags on the counter, I was like, "Fuck, are you doing at Publix, huh? We shop at Walmart around here. We don't go to Publix. We go to Publix for lunch meat, and that is it. We have no money, right?" So me going door to door, I had to teach myself, you know, what was going to be successful, and there's no better way to learn than failure. So my sales strategy now is a culmination of failures, right? I've failed to hit the closing ratios that I wanted to hit, right? And I had to figure it out. It's like, now, if I were a homeowner, what would I want to hear, right? So I started realizing that I'd knock doors, and this is really my pitch to this day. I go out and knock a door. Hey, what's up? I'm Paul. I'm with Dr. Roof. You know, we're out here doing free inspections. I don't have time to do anything right now. I'm 15 minutes early for my next appointment. I noticed your garage was open, so I figured you were home. Your roof is much older. It's one of the older ones in the neighborhood. It probably got some damage from that storm on January 12th. Has anybody looked at it yet? Anybody out here take a look at it since the storm? No? Okay. Again, I can't do anything right now. I got an appointment in 15 minutes. Are you usually home around this time? Is this usually a good time to catch you? I can come by tomorrow. You know, if I finish early tonight, I can probably get by tonight. Keep it a conversation. Don't sound pitchy. As soon as you go to the door and say, hey, I'm Paul, how you doing? What we're doing is we're in here. They don't give a shit if you're giving away free money. As soon as you sound like a door-to-door salesperson, they've tuned you out, right? It doesn't matter what you say because all they're thinking, their mind immediately goes to this person is an aggravation, right? Door-to-door sales is about what you say and how you say it. It's about the quality of what you say. It is not a numbers game. Anybody that says it is primarily a numbers game is a fucking shitty salesman, right? And human beings are not that unpredictable. We all think that we're so different, we're so original. We're all pretty damn similar, right? And this is an example I always use for my sales team, right? You can usually elicit the reaction you want out of somebody based on what you say and how you say it. Perfect example of that, in case you're trying to figure it out. If I was standing in an office, if we were all in an office right now and I pointed behind me and said, holy shit, what's that? Everyone on this call, everyone in this meeting would turn around and look, right? Because of what I said and how I said it, right? I would probably get the same, raise your hand if you think I'd get the same reaction if everybody would look, right? Right? For the most part, everybody's going to turn around and be like, shit, what's he looking at, right? It's because of what I said and how I said it. So when you're at the door, sound genuine, right? Understand what you're selling. Understand the value. Dr. Roof's the largest roofer in the state, isn't it, Paul? If it's not,
pretty big. I don't know if we're as big as Regal yet, but we're pretty big.
I don't know about that. Yeah, everybody knows your name. They don't know my name. knock on the door. I'm like, Dr. Roof, yeah, they're okay. Call if you need a repair. But we give you guys all of our repairs. But you guys, the reputation of Dr. Roof, the tenure, the time it's been in business, is second to none. I mean, there's only maybe one or two other people that could even potentially compete with the company. Its name, its reputation. The roofer, the Georgia Bulldogs, the Yellow Jackets, whether you guys are still that, it's marketing anyway. But it's a big deal that you guys work for Dr. Roof. So the three things that close deals, guys, if you can create interest, create a sense of urgency, and eliminate risk, you can sell anything, right? If Rocky's selling vacuum cleaners and he comes to my door, I'm very sympathetic to door-to-door sales people. I always listen to them, right? I'm like, it's a fucking door-to-door. How do you get in my neighborhood? This is great, But if Rocky comes to my door selling vacuums and I bought a vacuum yesterday, am I in the market? No. The likelihood of him selling me a vacuum is very, very slim, right? So you have to create interest. Fortunately, in this interest and in this industry, storms create the interest for us, right? Having a storm on January 12th, that's an early storm. Did that storm cause the damage on the roof? I don't fucking know. Was it January 12th? Was it October 15th of last year? September 10th? Was it May 5th? Who fucking knows? I don't know. There's not a weather vane on the roof, right? We can hire all the forensic engineers we want. I can't tell if the damage was created 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago. Nobody knows. What it did do is it created interest, right? So the community, there's a little bit of buzz, right? We're roofers, so there's more buzz in our community. But in Metro Atlanta, it's not, to know someone who's had their roof replaced by their insurance company is not some crazy concept, right? You go to some other markets, because I'm in a few other markets, and you're like, hey, we can have your insurance pay to replace the roof. And they're like, what? Never heard of that. That's crazy, right? It's not that crazy in Metro Atlanta. We get enough storms. There's enough buzz around the storms, around the industry. Somebody knows somebody at the water cooler, friend or cousin or whatever, co-worker who's had their roof replaced by insurance. They don't have a full understanding of how it works, and that's your job, right? So you got to create interest. The way you create interest, what's up? I'm Paul. Hey man, have you had your roof inspected? It's pretty old. It's in pretty bad shape. We had this storm on January 12th. And then you want to eliminate risk. Hey, listen, we don't even part of my company's pitch, because we don't do repairs. And you guys could probably work this in your pitch as well, because if I had to guess, none of you guys on this phone call look like you could do repairs. You guys do repairs? Andrew Crum looks like he could do some roof repairs. Yeah. Austin Young probably can. A handful of you guys maybe, but we don't even do repairs. So we go to the door. I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? What is one of the biggest concerns for homeowners why they don't want a roof inspection? Anybody? Time. They don't want to give you their time. Have you ever noticed that? Have anybody ever scheduled Comcast or DirecTV to come out and fix your shit, right? Right? Do you know how many times they call you to give you the opportunity to cancel that fucking appointment? Like they'll schedule that shit 2 weeks out. They'll call you every 3 days, send you a message like, hey, you want to cancel? It's not too late. Not too late. You're like, oh, this shit's working fine. I don't want to block off 4 hours of my day to wait for the Comcast guy. Sure, fuck it, I'll cancel. You give people a chance to use their time to do something other than what they perceive as a chore. They're going to do it, right? So, hey, what's up? My name's Paul. We're doing roof inspection. It takes 15 minutes, right? Part of the pitch also is we don't even do repairs. So that's part of eliminating risk, right? We don't do repairs. So I'm not going to get on the roof and come down and hustle you for $500, because your average homeowner, if you put yourself in their shoes, they don't know anything about roofing. You knock on their door. Hey, what's up? I'm Paul. I'm with Dr. Roof. We're doing roof inspections in the neighborhood. Have you had anybody take a look at it since this big storm came through on January 12th? You haven't? Okay. It takes 15 minutes. So I'm telling them, listen, it doesn't take hardly any time at all. If I tell them it takes 30 minutes or an hour, they're fucking out. You just lost 30% of your potential customers. It takes 15 minutes. It's totally free. There's no catch, right? Right now, I'm eliminating risk, right? Any perception they might have of risk. It's not going to take much of your time, right? We don't do repairs, so I'm not going to come down and hustle you for $500, because what they don't want is for somebody to get on their roof. They're, in the middle of their day, and now they're like, okay, I commit to a 15-minute roof inspection, and then I got to look this dude in the eyes for 30 minutes and tell him I don't want him to do the $500 repair that he's going to come down and try to sell me, right? We're not out here to do repairs. We are strictly out here to do inspections to see if you have enough storm damage from the storm on January 12th, like a lot of the folks in this area, to qualify to have your insurance pay for your roof through a no-fault storm claim. It's good for you. It's good for us. It's a win-win. It's a true win-win. If you don't have enough storm damage, guys, and you want to just continue on, you don't really want to give them a chance to talk, right? This is unlike a lot of other sales where in the initial inspection, you just want to keep talking to get your points across because you have a very limited amount of time, right? Or when you're scheduling the inspection or when you initially knock the door, right? So it takes 15 minutes. We don't do repairs. There's no risk. If you don't have the damage, we got nothing to talk about. We'll come back and after the next storm, call us after the next storm. We'll come back out and inspect it again for free. There's no catch. If you do have the damage, what we're going to do is I'll help you file a claim with your insurance. Why? That way I could provide the date of loss, the type of loss, the damage report, any other questions and answer any questions they may have for me. And then you ask them, do you have any questions for me? Right now, that's where you're asking for objections, right? Before you get on the roof. And then you let them talk. Well, we don't know if we want to file a claim. We're afraid that our premium is going to go up. Well, no, your premium can't go up. This is a catastrophic claim, right? So if you drive your car through the garage into your living room, you might want to think twice about filing a claim because you're high risk. Insurance premiums are based on risk. If you get hit by, for future reference, Mr. Homeowner, you get hit by wind, hail, tornado, anything catastrophic, never hesitate to file a claim. Premiums with regards to catastrophic damage are based on the frequency of damage by zip code. I live near Fort Lauderdale now, right? I have a 5,000 square foot house. I had a 5,000 square foot house in Atlanta. My premium in Atlanta was $5,600. My premium here in Florida is $26,000, right? Annual premium, right? Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So because the frequency of the damage in South Florida is much greater, insurance companies aren't stupid, right? They're going to base the premiums on the frequency of damage where you live. You think anybody familiar with Dallas, Texas? They get cow-killing hail every year. They get softball-sized hail that kills cows every year. You think the premium in Dallas is the same as Atlanta? Fuck no. In Atlanta, we have adjusters that are like, get your finger out of the hail. You know, in Dallas, Texas, the hail has gone through the decking and it's sitting in the fucking living room. You know, so the premiums in Dallas, Texas are much higher. So the premiums are what cover catastrophic damage, right? The premium is not going to go up as a result of a claim. If right now you're thinking to yourself, and I'm giving you guys a lot of side information too, to just really help your sales game as a whole, because this is the kind of stuff you want to know and you want to be able to regurgitate to your homeowners. If you're thinking, well, I have a customer, I know someone whose premium went up, right? Your premium will never, ever go up as the result of a storm damage claim, right? As the direct result. Premiums are based on the frequency of damage by zip code. So if in 30066, on average, all these carriers share the same run loss reports, right? They share the same information. If on average there's 5,000 storm claims and all of a sudden it jumps to 30,000 storm claims, guess what? Every single person in that zip code's premium is going to go up the exact same percentage points, whether they filed a claim or not. If Rocky said, I'm not going to file a claim, my insurance is great, I'm not going to do that to him, and Andrew's like, fuck him, I'm filing, and Andrew gets a roof and Rocky doesn't, guess what? Andrew and Rocky's premiums both go up the same fucking percentage points if the frequency of damage in that zip code is deemed to be considerably higher than its average, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically Rocky's paying for Andrew's new roof.
New roof. So you might as well get on the fucking bandwagon, right? It's one of the very few examples of a win-win with insurance, right? So when you understand the industry and you understand the value that you bring, you understand what you do and why you're selling it, it's so much easier to sell it because, and I'm not trying to politicize anything. I don't care who got the shot and who didn't, right? One of the easiest ways one of the things that the federal government and drug companies are absolutely fucking masterful at, right? I'm jealous of it, right? Is scaring people into doing something. When you make someone feel irresponsible for not doing something, they generally will do it. My wife's family, I live in South Florida. Most people around me got the shot. I didn't get it, right? Never been into it. It's not my thing. My wife's family lives in Rome, Georgia, in Armurchie. Those motherfuckers are hardcore anti-government. We are not getting the shot, blah, blah, blah. Every one of them sons of bitches got the shot because they ran enough commercials to where they were like, fuck, I don't want to be in the hospital. And then everybody like, I told him to get the fucking shot. You know what I mean? So they're like, screw it. Better safe than sorry. They all got the shot. Every one of these motherfuckers. They all wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats shit. They all got the shot. Fucking hypocrites. But so anyway, if you make someone feel irresponsible for not getting, because the reality is we all know enough about roofing to know it is fucking irresponsible. I sell everybody like I would sell my mom. When I first got in this industry, again, it was a disaster of a human being for the first half of my life. I was like, hey, Mom, I'm gonna get your roof. She's like, Paul, no, we're not going to do that. I was like, the fuck you, the hell you say? I'm getting you a fucking roof. Your roof's a piece of shit. I know you've had storm damage. I'm gonna get up here and get you a roof. She's like, I'm not, Paul. My premium was like, your premium can't go up, so no fault claim. Trust me, this is what I do. I'm a professional, right? At that point, I built like 10 roofs in my life, right? So got up there, did an inspection, filed the claim, met the adjuster. Fucking roof got denied. This is back when State Farm wasn't paying for anything. This is like 2009 or something. But the way I sold her was the way I sell my customers today. The way I see it is we're providing knowledge and information to them that they would otherwise not have. We're doing a lot less of selling them and a lot more of providing knowledge and information that they'd ever otherwise not have. And they don't know. They don't know that this option, this opportunity exists. And so when someone tells me no, they're like, no, I'm not interested. I'm like, well, hold on. Do you have any concern? Like, listen, man, this is a true win-win, right? Like, I get to make some money. You get a free roof if you have storm damage. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's do the inspection. It takes 15 minutes. I'll be up and down in no time. I'll diagram the damage with chalk. And I guess you guys do a lot of drone, right? If you're climbing the roof, take a piece of chalk and make it look like a fucking elementary school hopscotch board, right? Make it just make it so that all the neighbors that pull in that neighborhood can see that some, and I tell my team, right? Because my team loves to go up there like adjusters and take a piece of chalk or soapstone, which I hate fucking soapstone, and put a little mark. I used to write like the size of my torso, each letter. I'm like, wind, W-I-N-D, damage shingles equal 27. Hail damage to roof equals 8 or whatever. Do a 10 by 10 test where I got shit written everywhere with all kinds of different letters and stuff. And my team's like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's just fucking smoke and mirrors, man. It's just so that when the neighbors pull down the street, they're like, holy shit, what's going on that roof? And instead of them having to figure it out because it's just a bunch of fucking lines, it's right there. I wrote it for them. Wind damage shingles. It's fucking right there for everybody to see. Equals 27, right? Anybody's inferencing skills can figure that one out. Now that roof's going to be chalked up until it rains, right? Then the adjuster comes out. Then I'm going to stick a sign. I'll mark that shit again when the adjuster's out there, right? So it helps create, interest, guys. So there's so many things that you can do to really improve your closing ratios, but the best thing you can do is really understand the company you work for, the value that the company you work for brings, and the value that this industry brings, right? And keep in mind that, again, you're really just sharing knowledge and information that they would otherwise not have. And if they say, hey, listen, we're not interested. Okay, hold on, man. It's a 15-minute roof inspection. It's free. There's no catch. I'm not going to come down and hustle you for a $500 repair. We don't even do repairs. All I'm looking for is storm damage. You see all these roofs? And guys, this is the truth. Right? I tell my sales team, because some of them are like, well, how do we know those roofs were done by insurance? Man, there's not that many people that pay out of pocket for roofs in Atlanta. I mean, there's a fair amount, but most people know what's up, right? Unless you meet those folks that are usually elderly and they're like, we know our insurance has been good to us and we're not going to file a claim. We're like, how many claims have you filed? Proud to say we've never filed one. Well, how the fuck they've been good to you? Let's find out if they really are good to you. Let's file a claim and see how good they are, So if you understand what you're selling and why you're selling it, it's so much easier to sell because you can go in there. Guys, I'm a great salesman. I really am. Like, I'm really, really good at the door. I cannot sell shit I don't believe in. There's been times where I've worked for companies. I don't believe in the company. I don't believe in the product. I'm not a shitty human being. I can't sell that stuff. I cannot convince someone to do something that's not in their best interest. I can convince anyone to do something that is in their best interest because I'll put my fucking foot in the door. I'm like, hey, whoa, hold your horses, man. Don't slam the door. I mean, listen, I'm going to get on the roof. Okay. I'll be down in 15 minutes with some pictures. You're going to thank me. All right. I'll give you a knock in 15 minutes. Right. I'm pretty sure I've probably done that before. And they're like, who is this fucking guy? Like, why does he not go away? This is so strange. I can't, they go in the house and the husband's like, what happened? She's like, well, he's on the roof. This son of a bitch just put the ladder up, climbing on the roof. I don't know what to do, So be confident in your industry, in your company, and what you sell, why you sell it, right? Now I'll get to, since you guys have all that background, right? Again, there's really 3 important things you need to remember there. There's 3 things you need to do in order to close a deal. And it doesn't matter if you're selling baby formula, diapers, roofs, fucking car tires, it doesn't matter. You have to have interest in your product. right? If you have no interest, like anybody in here play with baby toys that are made for 3-year-olds and under? Probably none of us. Do we have any interest in those toys? Somebody's like, hey, bro, check this out. This is the latest, greatest fucking toy for 3-year-old girls. I'm not interested. What am I going to do with it, right? My fucking daughter's probably interested, but I'm not, right? I have no interest. You have to sell something that people are interested in, or you have to create an interest for your product or your service. Storms do a lot of that for us. If you're not referencing the specific storm date in your pitch, you're not creating the level of interest that you need to create, right? The second thing is create a sense of urgency, right? Hey, Rocky, what's up, dude? You have your roof inspected since that storm on January 12th? Nah, we're not interested. Okay, well, have a nice day. You could do that, or you could say, hey, man, honestly, the sooner you get it checked out, the sooner you can get it remedied. Insurance carriers, and this is the truth, guys, they hate it when you wait until the roof leaks, because then they owe overhead and profit. They got to pay for fucking drywall and antimicrobial application and carpet and painting and fucking hardwoods and overhead and profit. And me and Paul are going to fucking force feed them overhead and profit all day when we see that shit. They know they're going to pay 20% more than they could have if they'd have just mitigated a roof leak. So you tell the homeowner, hey, man, listen, that was a pretty bad storm. It's almost storm season. Your roof is old as shit, right? Your roof is like, what, 20 years old? It's in really bad shape. You probably have damage. It's a win-win. It's better to get this thing inspected and file a claim before it leaks. After it leaks, the insurance carrier gets frustrated because it's your responsibility as a policyholder to mitigate the damage. Let's just check it out. It takes 15 minutes, right? Try to create a sense of urgency. Whether you create that sense of urgency by saying, hey, man, the roof's really old, the storm is really bad, you don't want it to leak. If it's a discontinued shingle, guys, here's everybody, raise your hand if you work with chalets or horizons. That's my fucking claim to fame right there. Atlas Chalets, right? So Atlas Chalets, people are like, oh, the roof's not in bad shape. This is the truth, y'all. When you enter into an insurance policy, you give that insurance carrier the right to evaluate your property at any time for any reason. They cannot enter the premises of your home. They cannot go inside your home whenever they want, but they can fucking pull in your driveway and walk around your house and take pictures and do whatever they want whenever they want. They're insuring the property. They have a right to make sure that property is sound and insurable. Perfect example, my wife's grandmother called me, Granny, our Murchie. Paul, State Farm sent me a notice and said that if I don't repair my fascia and paint it, they're going to not renew my policy. Can they do that? I said, absolutely, Granny. Yeah, they're insuring your property. If that shit is all dilapidated and destroyed, you think that they want to take the risk of insuring it? Right? Fix your you have to fix your property, Granny. They do that, guys. So my pitch with Atlas Chalets, the way that I create a sense of urgency, you're like, oh, it hasn't leaked. I'm like, hey, listen here. And guys, it's the truth. We get calls all day long. Your insurance carrier reserves the right to send out a home inspector at any time over the course of your policy. Right now, in your description of your home, it just says at 30-year asphalt shingles. It does not get down to the specifics. It doesn't say the brand name of the Hardy plank siding. It doesn't say Chicago style brick, right? It doesn't tell you the fucking manufacturer of the hardwoods or the carpet. It doesn't say Mohawk. It just says 3/4 inch hardwoods, fucking Berber carpet, Hardy board, asphalt shingles, right? They have no idea, ma'am, that you have an Atlas Chalet shingle on your roof. I assure you that when they send a home inspector out here to verify your property sound and insurable, which if they haven't done it lately, it is going to happen. They will do it. And they see that you have an Atlas Chalet. There's so much buzz around Atlas Chalets right now. You're going to get a non-renewal notice. They're going to send you a non-renewal notice. They're going to refuse to renew your policy until you've replaced your roof out of your own pocket. I guarantee you. And then all the carriers share information, so no one will pick your policy up until you've replaced your roof out of your own pocket. We get phone calls every day of people in desperation because they waited too long. If you've got an Atlas Chalet or Horizon or Providence or something discontinued, you need to cross your fingers, hope you have storm damage. And if you do, you need to file immediately. Beat them to the punch. Because if they come out here and they send you a non-renewal because you have a discontinued shingle, and then you try to file a hail and wind claim, they already know what the fuck time it is. They know what you're up to. They're not going to pay. You're going to be stuck holding the bag, right? That's how we create a sense of urgency. Eliminate risk, right? So create interest, create a sense of urgency, and eliminate risk. Eliminating risk is, listen, man, I work for Dr. Ruth. Have you seen our reviews? Have you ever seen our owner? He's the nicest fucking guy on the planet, right? He's the most respectable human being in the entire roofing industry. We had this dude, Paul, who's another roofing company, give us a sales meeting, and every other word was a fucking F-bomb, right? And, we just don't know about him. He doesn't even do repairs. This son of a bitch sounds like all you can do is sell door to door. And guys, listen, our Facebook post used to always say roofing has a very bad reputation for a very good reason. Me and Paul see all kinds of dirty shit. We for the most part, we do the right thing. I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to do the right thing. That's not the case with a lot of roofers. So you eliminate risk, right? Because people are not going to do business if they see a risk. If they're like, shit, the lower their perception of risk is, the more likely they are to commit to doing, to entering into a relationship with you or doing business with you. If you can create interest, create a sense of urgency, and eliminate risk, you can close anything. You can sell anything to anyone, right? So now where Paul told me that you guys are having the most trouble is when, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, is you have the initial inspection, you go out, you do the inspection, the drone inspection, and you guys are having a hard time converting it to a claim, right?
Yeah, and you had a process to help with that, and I'd love you to share that. Correct.
Paul's like, now that you've talked for 20 fucking minutes, can we get down to the point of the call? So
all good stuff. All good stuff.
Oh, thanks, buddy. So, so guys, when you show up for the actual inspection right now, who climbs on roofs and who uses drones?
I climb.
Drone. A drone.
Drone.
Whether you're climbing or you're doing, you got to remember this. So this is absolutely, this is pivotal, right? This changed my closing ratios, changed my life, right? I've always been, somewhat of a decent salesman and kind of a smooth talker, and I've been able to just kind of sell anything, by the seat of my pants. So I started selling roofs, and I came to the realization that there's a science behind sales, guys. It's a process, right? If you follow the process, like Nick Saban, right? You follow the process, you get the result. The deal is closed before you inspect the roof. Always, right? I trained a guy, Brett Stusek, my top sales guy. Last guy I trained probably 10 years ago. And we showed up to an inspection that one of our leads generators had set in a neighborhood called Burnt Hickory Registry in West Cobb. We'd probably built 70 roofs in there at this point. You look down the street from in either direction from this house, and there's nothing but Regal signs, right? And so this lady called, and she's like, yeah, I need my roof inspected. So we show up. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And Paul, I'm here for the 4 o'clock. This is Brett. He's gonna be helping me. We'll get up there and see what we can see. It takes about 15 minutes. We'll let you know what we got. Get on the roof. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking toast. It's an Atlas Chalet. Come down. I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and file a claim. She's like, with the manufacturer? I was like, nope. With your insurance? She was like, I don't want to file a claim with my insurance. I said, well, I assumed, I made an assumption that she knew what the fuck was happening in her neighborhood, given the fact that like the whole neighborhood is fucking flooded with black and yellow signs say Regal Roofing on it, right? Like, that's what I get for assuming, right? And I said, well, it's a no fault claim, it's a cat claim, so now I'm scrambling, I'm trying to close the deal. I've already lost 3 steps. I'm trying to regain my ground and then some to close the deal, right? Because I never set the expectations. And she's like, I'm not interested. I'm sorry. And I've got a call. I got to get it. Have a nice day. And she walked away. I was like, fuck. And Brett goes, well, what do we do wrong there? I said, bro, let this be a lesson to you. I said, I blew that deal never even had a chance. I blew that deal before we even got on the roof. I never set the expectations because every single time, guys, I show up to a lead, I say the same exact thing. Do you want to know exactly what I say? And I told Brett, and again, not to brag on myself, there's a lot of things I'm not good at. Door-to-door roofing sales, I'm good at it, right? I was like, hey, Brett, on my Zoom call, with 40 people or whatever, say, how many do you think we ran together? He was like, I don't know, 50 over the period of a month. I said, how many do you remember me not closing? He was like, I think 2. My closing ratios are really, really high, guys. I just assume that these people are going to do business with me. If there's damage on that roof, we're filing a fucking claim. So if I climb the roof, we're filing a claim, right? If there's damage. So every single roof, every single lead I go to, say, hey, how you doing? My name's Paul, Regal Roofing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to climb on your roof. I'm going to diagram any damage with chalk. Guys, chalk is very important. I'm going to take detailed photographs. If I do this every time, if we find enough damage to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof, we'll go ahead and help you file a claim today. because right there, they're thinking, again, don't give them a chance to talk yet, right? You control the situation. You control it, you close deals. You lose control, you're not going to close the fucking deal. So I'm going to get on your roof. I'm going to diagram the damage with chalk. I'm going to write up a detailed damage report. And then if I find enough damage that I think it's enough to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof, go ahead and file a claim today. Why do you ask? Don't let them ask why. Just assume that they want to know why, because everyone wants to know fucking why. Every human being, if you don't explain the why behind what you want them to do, they don't fucking like you. They don't trust you, right? You got everybody here got a couple parents, at least one parent or an older sibling or somebody. You probably had one that was like, I need you to do this. And the reason I need you to do this is because when you do this, it affects this, son. And when it affects this, it affects this. And if it affects this, it might fuck you up. So can you please do it? Then you had that other parent that was like, do this. And you're like, why? Because I'm the fucking parent. You're like, fuck you, dude. You know, that one doesn't get through to most people, right? If you explain the why, human beings tend to be a lot more receptive. So, Mr. Homeowner, I'm Paul. I'm a Regal Roofing. What we're going to do is we're going to hop on the roof, do a storm damage inspection, see what we can find. We're going to document the damage with chalk. We're going to write up a detailed damage report. If you have enough damage to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof, go ahead and file a claim today. That way I can provide the date of loss, the type of loss, the damage report, and answer any questions they have for me, right? Now, you're giving them enough information for them not to want to go do it on their own, but also not enough to where they want to call their fucking attorney before they move forward. Does that make sense? So when I say, you know, it seems like the perfect amount of items, right? That way I can provide the date of loss, the type of loss, the damage report, and answer any questions they have. If I go into, you know, Cedar Valley Exteriors, company I used to work for, the contingencies were 11 by 18 paper, right? My contingencies are like, hey, what's up? You know, if we get your roof bought, let us do it. We get screwed sometimes. Are we going to sue them? No. I would rather get 100 contracts signed to get burned on 10 than only sign 10 in the first place, because the terms are fucking crazy, right? So you want to give them just enough information to where it seems like it's too hard to do it on their own, but not such a complicated task or not such a complicated situation that they want to, you know, spend a day or two or a week or whatever to think about it and call you back. So again, I'll reiterate, Mr. Homeowner, hey, my name's Paul. I'm here from 4 o'clock. What I'm going to do is get on the roof, document any damage I find with chalk. Don't worry, it washes off with sidewalk chalk. Write up a detailed damage report, take detailed photographs. If you've got enough damage to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof, we'll go ahead and file a claim today. That way I can provide them with the date of loss, the type of loss, the damage report, answer any questions they may have. Do you have any questions for me? Right? And they're going to say some shit like, yeah, I don't know. We don't want to file a claim. You know, we feel like, you know, our premium is pretty low. Well, don't worry, it's a CAT claim. It's a no-fault claim. If you've got the damage, you absolutely file a claim. I mean, you don't have to, but I would highly recommend it. The CAT claim can't affect your premium, and then you spit this shit out. Premiums with regards to catastrophic damage are based on the frequency of damage by zip code. That's why a 5,000 square foot house in Fort Lauderdale has a $26,000 premium, and a 5,000 square foot house in Roswell has a $5,000 premium. That can't affect your premium or your good standing. Do you have any other questions? Well, are they going to replace the entire roof? I don't know. I got to see what you got up there. Any other questions? Are we filing a claim with the insurance, or are we filing a claim with the manufacturer? Well, we're filing a claim with the insurance, right? You pay your insurance. Anybody, can you guys think of any other objections or questions? You're basically, when you say, do you have any questions, you might as well be saying, do you have any objections? What are your objections so I can overcome them before I get on your fucking roof and risk my life? Right? Do you guys think of anything else that they might say?
Yeah, go ahead and ask anything, guys.
Anything. I mean, anything that comes up that, like, when someone asks it, you're like, fuck.
I get I'll get the wife and the husband's not there. He's a decision maker.
Right. Well, I tell you what, ma'am, let's go ahead and reschedule, because what I want to do is I want to be able to show both of you guys. I will not. I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things Paul and I talked about was you guys and my team. My team, I don't let them do it anymore. Well, and I wouldn't do it when I was in the field. I will not run a fucking inspection without the homeowner there. Because they're like, yeah, just go out and take a look. Let us know what you find. No, I don't think so, motherfucker. When are you going to be home, right? And guys, here's what you do is you say, again, it's all about control. So if the wife is like, my husband's not here, he's the decision maker. So, okay, cool. Well, now you found that out before you got on the roof, right? So like, oh, okay, cool. No worries. I'm actually pretty booked today. I want to be able to show both of you guys the pictures, because he's gonna have a bunch of questions. I assure you. So how does your schedule look? And then you start spitting out times. You don't just say, how's your schedule look? Oh, I'll call you. Oh, I'll call you. Have a nice day. I will never fucking talk again. How's your schedule look? I'm available. And you give them lots of days and random times. I'm available Tuesday at 9, Wednesday at noon. Thursday, I've got a 5 p.m. and a 7 p.m. Saturday at 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. Which works better for you guys? And you don't say a fucking word. And she'll be like, I guess Saturday at 2. Or if they're like, hey, we'll call you. Well, I'm so busy right now with all the storm activity we had. Let me go ahead and tentatively just plug you in. Which one you think would be the best time for both of you guys to be here? Let me just put it in. And then if something comes up, let me know and we'll reschedule it. But that way, because these will all fill up by the end of today. So which one works best for you? Like I'm relentless on that. And I'm not a dick about it. And they don't even really understand, right? It's kind of like, I used to tell my team, like, when you get someone's phone number now, I don't let them have business cards. They have e-cards. So they have to get the phone number. Because some of my salespeople, right? You can always tell the people, if you've got confidence, you can sell anything, right? I got salespeople and then they're like, the homeowner's like, hey, we're not interested right now, but maybe later. And they're like, well, would you mind if I got your phone number? Yeah, I do mind, motherfucker. Stop by some other time, I said, or I'll call you. Give me your card, right? If you go, oh, cool. What's your number? People have gotten me with that shit all the time, right? I'll be walking into the gym. They're trying to sell me something. They're like, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. And they're like, oh, dude, we'll send you something. What's your number? I'm like, 404-484-8960. I'm like, fuck, he got me. He just said, what's your number with the utmost confidence. I just spit it out. Like it's second nature. So if you hear someone says, hey, my husband's the decision maker, is not here. Okay, cool. I'm glad you told me before I got up there. So let's go ahead and reschedule. I've got Tuesday at 9, Wednesday at noon, Saturday at 2 and 4, or Thursday at 5 or 7. Pick one of those. Let me put you down. What's the best one, for you to both be here? Because he's going to have a bunch of questions. Does that make sense?
To your point on that, I drone houses. So, I could still probably drone it, but then set an appointment up to review the diagnosis of the roof.
That might work. I prefer to do the physical inspection or the drone with them there, because that way I can set the expectations before I do the inspection, right? Because half of your customers really want to see the results of that inspection, right? And half of them go back in the house when you go to do the inspection and they look at their spouse and they go, we're not filing a fucking claim. And that's when you get the pictures. I tell my guys, that's why I chalk the shit out of the roof, right? I love getting pictures of granules in the gutters. I'm like, you see all these granules in your gutters? It looks like a fucking sandbox, man. Your roof is prematurely shedding. It's not supposed to do that. Is it supposed to do that or not? I don't fucking know. I'm a salesman. I'm not a product knowledge guy. Paul, you have any idea? Our roof's supposed to shed granules? I don't know. Doesn't seem like they should, right? I'm like, dude, you see your gutters are full of granules. Here's hail. You come down and you show them, or in your case, you show them your drone. Listen, here's hail damage. Your pipe jacks are split. You've got thermal cracking on the ridge cap. Your flashings are pulling away from the chimney. Here's also some wind damage. I tell my team, don't just show them storm damage. You show them every picture of the most fucked up shit you can see on that roof, because what you want to do is the pictures close the deal, right? So you set the expectations before you get on the roof. What's up? I'm Paul. I'm here for the 4 o'clock. Get up here, get some detailed pictures of damage, come down. If you got enough qualified insurance pay to replace your roof, we'll file a claim with them today. That way I can provide the data loss, type of loss, damage report, answer whatever questions they have. You guys have any questions for me? Yeah, your premium? Oh, no, it won't go up. It's a CAT claim. It's an act of God claim. It's the premiums are based on the frequency of damage by zip code, right? If you drive your car through your garage in your living room, you might want to think twice before you file a claim. Wind, hail, tornado, never hesitate. If you got the damage, you definitely want to file. Any more questions? Now, again, just to back up for a second, if you guys were a homeowner and I just, who believes what I just said about frequency of damage by zip code is what premiums are based on? Raise your hand if you believe me. I could be completely fucking lying to you. But I said it with so much confidence that you're not going to go Google it, right? You might after I tell you this, right? But your homeowner, if you say it with confidence, you say it with conviction, like they're going to believe you. And I'm not a piece of shit. So that is the truth, right? That with regards to catastrophic damage, and it's really not that hard of a concept to understand when you think about it, right? If you've ever owned a property in Florida or Texas or Oklahoma or an area that gets fucking annihilated with storms, the premiums are way higher than they are in Metro Atlanta, right? Or Nashville or areas that get very moderate storm damage, right? It's the frequency of damage by zip code with regards to catastrophic damage. The way that policies are set up in every state that I've ever worked in, the policyholder cannot be penalized for damage that occurs at no fault of their own, aka storm damage. That's all built into the premium. Insurance companies aren't stupid. They're like casinos. They fucking you think they're losing money? No. Who runs all the fucking commercials during the Super Bowl, man? It's insurance companies. They're not stupid. This is all built into the premium. So when a homeowner asks you something, though, it's important that you answer the question with absolute conviction. How many people have gotten to have this type of sales meeting right here where they've gotten this level of information? Do you know how many times I've had debates with agents because my customer has told my sales guy, my agent said my premium will go up as a result of the claim. I'm like, get that motherfucker on the phone, right? You are fake news, bro. And I get the agent on the phone. I'm like, hey man, I'm on the phone with Mr. Smith. I'm the owner of Regal Roofing. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a public adjuster. I'm not an insurance agent. I don't work for the Department of Insurance. I'm not a lawyer, just to clarify, but I'm very familiar with storm restoration insurance claims. Do they have a policy that would raise their premium as a result of a storm damage claim? Well, yes, Mr. Nolan, it will raise their premium. Like, so this specific claim, guys, I've had this conversation probably a dozen times. If they file a claim for hail damage on their roof, their premium is going to go up as a direct result of that claim. Is that what you're saying? So if no one else in their zip code files a claim, but they do, their premium is going up. Is that what you're saying? Well, no, that's not necessarily how it works. It's not, I'm aware. It's the frequency of damage by zip code. So if they file a hail damage claim and 50,000 of their neighbors do, all of their premiums are going up, right? Yes, that's correct. Now, clarify another thing for me, Mr. Agent. Can you also specify for my homeowner, if he were to not file a claim, but 50,000 of his neighbors filed a claim, was his premium also go up the same percentage? Yes, it would. Okay, cool. Thanks for your fucking time. Stop fucking spreading fake news. You know what the agent's interest is? You never have them call the agent. Obviously, always have the 800 number handy. The agent's interest is satisfied customers. If you ever are like, dude, why is the agent always deterring people from filing a claim or trying to steer them to their roofer? Because the agent knows that as long as they have a customer who's never, and listen, if you file a claim and you think it should be paid for and the carrier doesn't pay for it, now you're fucking mad. Now you're looking at options, right? You might have had Allstate for 30 years. And now you, in your mind, they've done you wrong, so you're shopping, right? Well, if you never file a claim, are you going to shop Allstate? Probably not. Probably not. It's not on the forefront of your mind. All these carriers are reasonably competitive. Allstate's cheapest, right? You get the cheapest shit. That's why they treat everybody like shit. But you're not going to shop them. So the agent is in there, would love to deter people from filing claims. So you never go through the agent. But guys, you say you talk to these folks with conviction. To get back on topic here, when you say something like, "Hey, it's a no-fault claim, it's an act of God claim," do anybody ever have somebody bring up the deductible? What about our deductible? Hey, do you have any questions for me before I get on the roof? Well, what about the deductible, ma'am? I absolutely 100% without a doubt guarantee you that we will never, ever, ever charge you 1 penny more than the amount that we negotiate with your insurance. If I agree to $17,127.33, that's what I do the roof for. Your deductible, it's really between you and the insurance. I don't know what your deductible is. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get on the roof and let's take a look and see what we can find, right? And there are ways that we can finance the deductible. There's ways we can talk about the deductible. There are ways that deductibles can be offset legally, right? I can offset the cost to you. I'm not saying we can't pay it, right? We can't cover it, but there are ways that we can compensate you for doing something for us that's totally unrelated to your insurance claim, right? You go online and tell the whole world how Dr. Roof's the fucking bomb and Paul Stoppelwerth's the best looking fucking CEO in the business, right? I'm sure he'll give you a $250 credit for that. Credit, we don't call it a credit, do we, Paul? Send him a check, right? And I don't know if that's something that you guys even do, but you tell them we absolutely 100% without a doubt guarantee you that we perform the work for the exact amount we negotiate with the insurance. I personally have beef with insurance carriers making deductibles our problem. I'm not a fucking collection agency. I don't write policies for a living, yet they treat me like a second-rate citizen. I got to collect their deductible. So anytime, and just to fast forward a little, at the adjuster's inspection, the best way not to have any issues with the deductible, because again, guys, the whole goal is control, right? hey, Mr. Adjuster, when we get on the ground, can you tell Mr. and Mrs. Smith that the deductible is due to us? There's always some confusion around that. And I just want to make sure if it comes out of your mouth, there's no doubt comes out of my mouth. It seems shady. So the adjuster will always get on the ground and tell the homeowner that they owe the deductible to you. The next thing you do is you say, hey, Mr. Adjuster, right in front of the homeowner. Hey, man, can you do me a favor and send me a copy of your Xactimate as soon as you have it done? With Mrs. Smith's permission, of course. Mrs. Smith, is that okay with you? That's fine with me. Great. Can I get your cell phone number and your email address? Get their cell phone number every time, because it's way easier to call a cell phone than it is to call 866-418-2070 extension fucking 8125-972-381 fucking 7 pound. You know what I mean? And like Chris knows what's up. Chris, like, man, I doubt some minutes, but that fucking hold music, dude, makes me want to fucking blow my brains out. So anyway, guys, know your product, know your company, be confident in what you sell, be confident in why you're selling it. Right? You're not really a salesman. You're really sharing knowledge and information they would otherwise not have. Sell them like they're your family member. If knowing what you know about roofing, right? If someone has storm damage, they can file a storm damage claim. That's a no-fault claim, an act of God claim, and get a roof paid for by their insurance. Who would, if you had a family member that had storm damage, who would force them to file a claim? If they really didn't know better and they're like, oh, we don't really want to file. Would you guys, if it was your family member, would you be like, would you be very insistent with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If it's your family member, you're like, dude, I do this for a living. Yeah, of course you file a claim. Be as insistent with every customer as you would with your family member. That's a good rule of thumb. Know your product, know your company, know the value you bring to the table. Be as insistent with them as you would be with a family member. If they say we don't want an inspection or we don't want to file a claim, make them feel irresponsible for not doing it. Right? Just like the COVID shot, right? Don't get the shot if you don't want to. When you're dying in a hospital, we're not saving you a fucking bed. You're gonna be sleeping out back next to the dumpster because you chose not to get it, right? Shit, I better get that fucking shot. Right? So you tell the homeowner, hey man, listen, you don't have to go. Man, the inspection's only 15 minutes. Just had a major storm. Did your roof's 20 years old? You see all these new roofs in here? Most of these are paid for by insurance. It takes 15 minutes. Let's see what you got. See if you got anything to talk about, man. If you don't have your roof inspected, you're supposed to have it, guys. And here's another thing, and I don't know if you know this. You're supposed to have your roof inspected every 4 to 5 years for general maintenance items. You're supposed to have your pipe jacks and your flashings resealed every 4 to 5 years. I learned that when I was brand new in roofing. My bay cap, my metal bay cap over my bay window was leaking. And I was like, oh, my builder, this piece of shit. And I called a friend who knew something about construction. He's like, bro, have you ever resealed the bay cap? I was like, no. I was like, how old's the house? It's like 15 years. He's like, bro, that's not on the builder. You're supposed to reseal that shit every 5 years. General maintenance, man. It's on you. I was like, oh, all right then. Guess I'll go get me some NP1, right? You're supposed to have your roof inspected every 4 to 5 years to make sure you don't have any busted pipe jacks and you don't have any issues with anywhere that you're flashing or anything is sealed with NP1. Because of the elements and the weather and sun and rain, guys, everything on there oxidizes and cracks and leaks. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You're supposed to have your roof inspected anyway. So you can use that one too. And Mr. Homeowner, listen, when was the last time you had a roof inspected? We've never had it inspected. Dude, carve out 15 minutes for me. Trust me. Let's see if you don't have storm damage, at least if you got any issues, I'll point them out. Again, I don't do repairs, so I'm not going to come down and hustle you for repairs. Now, Dr. Roof does do repairs, right? But you can tell them, I don't do repairs. Me, myself, I'm not going to come down and try to hustle you for repairs. If you got issues, I'll bring them to your attention. You can call us and schedule a repair if you want. And Paul might have another method, which you guys convert it to repair if there's no storm damage. But, I'm not going to come down and hustle you for repairs, right? Make these people feel warm and fuzzy, but be insistent as if they're your family member. Then when you get to the inspection, you set the expectations and you close the deal before you get on the roof or before you fly the drone. I'm Paul, or I'm Chris. I'm here for the 4 o'clock. What I'm going to do is fly the drone, see if you've got any hail damage, any wind damage. We'll also notate if you've got any issues with your sealants, your flashings, your pipe jacks, any roof shedding. You ever notice any granules coming out of the bottom of that downspout there in the driveway? Oh, yeah. After it rains, we have a mountain of them. Oh, that's not good. Ooh, that's bad. Shit. Well, I'm here just in the nick of time. So what I'm going to do is fly the drone. If you got the damage, go ahead and call the insurance and we'll get your roof paid for. Do you have any questions for me? No? Okay, cool. So I got to make sure I got the data loss, the type of loss, the damage report squared away. And then, you know, I think we're good to go. And then you get on the roof. If they got questions, answer the questions. If it's a question you can't answer, I mean, Paul, you're welcome to give out my phone number if you want. You guys can call me. And while you're at, I love it when people call me at the door. I like to see if I can close a deal on the phone, on the spot, like, you know, holding 2 babies at a fucking daycare, right? Or at the gym. I'm like, hold on a minute, hold everything. Let me see if I can close this deal. Right? I mean, call. I don't know what their processes are, guys, but if they don't, if the deal is not closed before they get on the roof, then the importance or that the pictures are that much more important, right? The homeowner's like, I don't know. Let's just see what we're looking at. No problem, right? Because I know, I mean, I don't inspect roofs. If a guy set me a lead, the roof's 3 years old, I ain't fucking running it. If that roof is not completely destroyed anyway, I'm not running it. I already know the roof's toast. If you tell me, I don't know, we're not gonna commit to filing a claim yet. Let's see. Okay, cool. Now I know that I got to show you pictures of some really fucked up shit. When I get down and I show just about every customer I show pictures to, guys, it's like, oh my God, oh, that's my roof. Oh my God, I'm like, yeah, got here in the nick of time, right? No shit. Anyway, I'm gonna dial State Farm 1-800-SF claim. Now, when State Farm gets on the phone, I'm gonna tell them that we're gonna file a claim for wind and hail damage in Acworth, Georgia. I'm not the policy holder, so then I'll have to hand the phone to you. They're going to ask you some questions. When they start asking you questions about damage, guys, the phone's ringing the whole time. When they start asking you questions about damage, just give the phone back to me. That way I can answer whatever question they have. Hey, how you doing? My name's Paul Nolan. We need to file a claim for wind and hail damage in Acworth, Georgia. No, I'm actually the contractor. I'll just talk to the policy holder. Hang on. Here you go. Right? You hand them the phone. Once they finish the phone call, cool, let me see the phone. Yeah, I got 8 impact points in attempt. Guys, when you're writing up your damage report, don't make it sound, I still have sales guys that don't listen to me and they're like, why are my closing ratios so low? I'm like, are you doing this? No. Are you doing this? No. Are you closing the deal before you get on the roof? No. I'm like, so you don't do any of the fucking shit I told you. Right? This is the stuff I read in the book. This is stuff that I experienced because my closing ratios were an absolute atrocity for years. And now they're fucking, they're really, really, really high. If I run a roof lead, like they're filing a claim, they're signing a contingency, right? So, you know, you get them on the phone, and then once you take the phone back, yeah, we've got, again, we got 8, make it sound technical, guys. We have 8 impact points in a 10x10 test square, multiple dents to the soft metals, premature shedding, granule shedding, you know, some other moderate damage. Great. Claim number is ABC123. Cool. Mr. Smith, do you have any more questions? No? Mr. Smith would like me to be here when the adjuster's here. So you go ahead and put my number down as the direct point of contact for the field adjuster to call me to schedule the inspection. Right, Mr. Smith? Cool. All right. Yeah, it's Paul Nolan, 404-484-8960. Great. Mr. Smith, got any questions? No? Great. Thank you. Have a nice day. Click. All right, Mr. Smith, here you go. Here's your claim number. Here's a damage report. Here's all this stuff. My contingencies say something like this agreement allows, which Paul, you guys get those signed up front. But if you don't have it signed, this agreement allows Regal to communicate with the insurance company on the homeowner's behalf. Upon signing this agreement, homeowner agrees to allow Regal to perform work with accordance with the type and amount negotiated with the insurance carrier, not a penny more, blah, 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 blah. Just sign right here. All this is saying, dude, is if I get your roof approved, you let me have the business. If your brother-in-law is a roofer, just tell me now, and he can meet your insurance adjuster, and we'll never talk again. If you want me to meet your adjuster, get it approved, all I ask is that I get to do the work, and I'll never charge you a penny more than what I get from your insurance. And if they tell me I'm not comfortable signing, I mean, I get 90% of mine signed, but if they tell me I'm really not comfortable signing, I'm like, no, that's cool, no problem. But just give me your word, right? Shake my hand, just give me your word. I'll tell you, hey, I'd rather have a handshake than a signature anyway. If I get your roof approved, we're doing business, right? Cool. Now, if they go sideways, I'm like, you shook my hand, fucker, you know, which they usually don't. Most people are, you know, decent human beings. So some of them get greedy. So that's my whole process, guys. You create a sense of interest, create a sense of urgency, eliminate risk, close the deal before you get on the roof. Ask them if they have any questions. You tell them why you're there. You set the expectation. This is how you close the deal. You set the expectations and then you ask questions. Don't make it a Q&A. Don't make it go back and forth. Here's what the fuck I'm going to do. I'm going to diagram the damage with chalk, take pictures, write up a damage report. If you have enough damage to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof, we'll file a claim today. That way, I can provide the data loss, type of loss, damage report, answer any questions they have. Do you have any questions for me? Now you get their objections. Don't make it a fucking Q&A. Say the same thing every single time. And it's kind of tricky, right? So I sound pitchy on this call, but guys, it's kind of like acting. So if I knocked on Paul's door, or if I was there for the 4 o'clock, I'd be like, hey man, how you doing? I'm Paul. I'm Dr. Roof. I'm here for the, a little early. I'm here for the 4 o'clock. So anyway, I'm going to get up here, take some pictures, see if you got any storm damage. If you do, I'll come down, I'll show them to you. If you've got enough to qualify, hopefully you got enough to qualify to have your insurance pay for your roof, I'll help you file the claim today. And that way I can provide them with the date of loss, the date that the damage is consistent with, the type of loss, wind, hail, and whatever else they see, the damage report. That way I can answer any questions they have. You got any questions for me? That's my pitch, y'all. Right? I'm all fucking loud and boisterous and obnoxious when I'm like leading meetings. When I'm in the field, I talk the way I've talked this whole meeting. And when I ring that doorbell, I'm a completely different fucking person. My sole objective when I'm at that house is to make that person do what I want them to do. That's how I feed my family, right? I got the fucking blinders on. If I'm training a guy, he'll still be jabbering away. I don't hear a fucking word he's saying. The only thing I'm thinking of is I need to make sure that I get this person to do what I want him to do. I got to seem likable. I got to seem genuine, which I am genuine, right? But when you say the same shit over and over, day in and day out, it becomes monotonous. You start to sound like a robot. When you start to sound like a robot and you start to sound pitchy, they feel like a number. When they don't feel like you're genuine, they care a lot less, right? So you make them feel like you have a genuine concern for them and their property. If they say no, you make them feel irresponsible for not following through with it. And you reiterate to them, you're only asking for 15 minutes of their time, because the biggest concern for 95% of people is their time. You say 15 minutes, but is it going to take an hour? You say 15 minutes, they assume it's going to take longer. You say an hour, they assume it's going to take fucking ever. Right? So you always stick to 15 minutes. And if you come down and they're like, hey, that took 30 minutes, and you're like, well, the inspection. And guys, how many of y'all have inspected a roof with no damage? Raise your hand. It doesn't even take 15 minutes, does it? You climb the ladder and you're like, fuck, we could set this lead for. Hey, Paul, fire that fucking canister. We had a canister on a side note. We had a guy set a lead like 2 years ago, and this guy would set tons of leads. And I was like, I feel like he's screwing us. His name was Michael Bashirs. Never hired him, son of a bitch. And so anyway, I found out, they were like, dude, one of Michael's leads was so bad. It was a roof we installed in 2018. And I was like, Michael, why? We've been getting on your ass for months now about setting shitty leads, right? You're setting leads on like 3-year-old roofs. He goes, well, I mean, my job's to set, line up roof inspections. Like, we just built the roof in 2018. He goes, well, they wanted us to inspect it, make sure it was still in good shape. It's like, you're missing the fucking point. What do you think? What do you think you're here for, bro? Customer service, sales? Like, come on, buddy. Just sent an inspector 45 minutes away to run a lead that we built 2 years ago. We probably figured it out before we went out. But so guys, if you're taking notes, the most important aspects of all of the shit that I just spewed out on you is create interest, create a sense of urgency, which is equally as important, and eliminate risk, right? Those are the 3 keys to getting someone to commit. You show up to the inspection, you close the deal before you get on the roof. And the way you do that is you set the expectations. Life is all about expectations. You set the expectations. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm here for the 4 o'clock. I'm going to get on the roof, diagram the damage with chalk, take some detailed pictures. If you got enough damage to qualify, hopefully you do. Some people don't, man. You might not be one of the lucky ones. Hopefully you're one of the lucky ones. You got enough damage to qualify to have your insurance pay to replace your roof. Then we'll file the claim today. That way, I can provide the data loss, type of loss, damage report, answer any questions they have. Do you have any questions for me? So you set the expectations, and then you ask them for objections in the form of, do you have any questions? Right? Once they give you their objections, and can anybody, let's focus on that for 1 second, right? Anybody think of any other objections you want to throw at me? None?
I had one the other day. This guy had just moved into a house, probably late September, but the storm date that we were going to use was from August. So in that case, would it be worth trying to change it to that January storm date, or just kind of
Yeah.
leave?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that, right? So of course they have to occupy the home with an active insurance policy in order to file a claim. Now here's another one you guys might not know. If you go to a house, you do an inspection, you find damage, you come down, and they're like, I have State Farm. I mean, we all are having a hard time with State Farm right now, right? I've got State Farm. Cool. My next question would be, how long have you had them? If you had State Farm for 4 months, if I can determine that the damage on this roof is more consistent with the storm that came through last July, we can file a claim with your old carrier, Travelers, for the July storm, because the property was insured under Travelers. If the damage on the roof is consistent with that storm, which the damage on the roof is always the fucking same, right? Because storms travel southwest and northeast, where we live, right? I mean, where Atlanta is, not where I live. I live in Southeast Florida. Storms travel every fucking which way, right? Atlanta, storms are coming from the southwest to the northeast. So you're going to find most of your damage on the south and the west elevations, right? They might have some swirling. They might have some sort of issue. It's funny to me because I look at all these hail reporting sites. Paul probably does too. And I'm like, in 2023, we still can't perfect fucking hail. We still can't perfect finding hail. It's because, guys, it falls from 40,000 feet in the air, right? Stone might fall the size of a golf ball. By the time it reaches the ground, it might not measure, right? We don't know if this storm traveling 40 miles an hour, is it traveling 5? When it drops and it's 40,000 feet in the air, Paul would probably do the math a lot better than me. Where's it actually going to land, if it lands, right? So, there's a lot of variables, but if they have a shitty carrier, ask them, how long have you had this carrier? Because if they've had a storm season's coming up, if they got a shitty carrier right now, they got State Farm, spring's coming, you may want to just say, hey man, why don't you change policies? Change policies to Travelers, Nationwide, Liberty Mutual, one of the carriers it's easy to deal with right now. You're going to get a storm at some point between March 1st and July 1st. It's going to happen. So then we can take advantage of a better carrier at a different policy. But yeah, if they haven't had a policy, an active policy at the time of the storm, then they wouldn't qualify. You guys have any other objections? Anything you can think of? I mean, tell me anything.
Yeah, what if they've done a claim before, like they've already done the process and they know how it works?
So if they've done the process, so you're saying like if they're like, yeah, we already filed a claim like 2 years ago and they denied it, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, and that if they've already filed a claim and it's been a year or two or whatever, well, let's take a look and see if you have any new damage. You've had, again, guys, Metro Atlanta gets an average of 5 to 6 cat storms a year. They filed a claim 2 years ago. You've had 10 storms since then. We've had 6, 7 storms since the last time. When did you file? Do you have the information? Can we call the carrier real quick, find out when you filed that claim? Because we've had people and we're like, when did you file? And they're like 2 years ago. And then we get the claim information and we're like, you filed last month, motherfucker. You filed 2 years ago. They denied you last month. You don't have any damage. Or you got approved last month. You spent the fucking money. You just find out you're trying to file another one. You think these people don't keep documents? So in that situation, there's some variables there. You got to find out how long ago did you file. If they filed a year or so ago, it's definitely worth doing another inspection. If they filed, in my opinion, within 3 months, or you have not had a major storm since the time they filed, it's worthless. But clearly they're interested, right? So if they didn't file and get approved and get a new roof, you definitely want to keep their information and say, hey, listen, we'll put it back in the queue. We'll give it to Paul, give it to Lee. We'll call you after the next big storm. Don't worry about calling us. We'll call you. Put them in your new storm date queue. Any other objections, anybody?
Yeah,
So in
Paul.
that case,
Go ahead.
no, in that case, like they get denied and they do it again, get denied again. What do they need to do? I mean, yes, change insurance, but what if they don't? I guess it's their fault, right?
So if you guys feel like there's legitimate storm damage and they got denied, they get denied again, that's when you take it to Lee or you take it to Paul. And you guys may have to send out an actual roofing repair guy, right? If they say, hey, there's not enough, we hear from, and that's where Paul or Lee would probably make the decision, or one of you guys, I don't know how you guys set up. Does it need to go to a public adjuster? Do we need to send out an actual roof repair guy? We just got one approved by Allstate. They were fighting, it was in Atlas Chalet. And no brainer at this juncture in time. And they're like, we don't owe for it. We only owe for a suitable substitute product. Paul, you'll love this. Are you familiar with ITEL? I know Lee is too, right? Mm-hmm. So ITEL's ITEL's logo used to say ITEL, the science of fair settlement. It no longer says the science of fair settlement. I caught auto owners. I ordered an ITEL in Atlas Chalet because normally it'll say, you know, it'll refer you to DMI, Discontinued Materials Inc., right? Which is ITEL's Discontinued Materials Warehouse. They're like, hey, DMI's can reserve 26 of these shingles, right? Well, if you know code, you know that if those shingles don't arrive in the manufacturer's original packaging or with a bill of lading indicating how and where they were stored, then they're non-ASTM compliant. We can't use those shingles to do a code compliant repair, and insurance carriers cannot force you to perform negligent construction, right? That's like, you know, that's advanced placement shit, right? Don't worry about that. Just close deals. You start arguing shit like that, you're gonna waste your time. You're gonna close 3 deals at a time it took you to argue, right? But so auto owners intercepted my ITEL report, Paul, and it said, you know, DMI can reserve the shingles. And it did not say at this time a suitable substitute product cannot be suggested. So I called ITEL. I was like, hey, can you add that line? And they're like, what line? I was like, suitable substitute product cannot be suggested at this time. And they're like, well, it's not your ITEL. It's mine. I put on, it's my account. We paid for it. They're like, oh, the auto owner's adjuster called in and he paid for it. I said, no, I fucking paid for it. And they're like, well, we charged him. Let me transfer you to billing. You can pay for it. And then we'll have them transfer you back here and we'll put whatever verbiage you want. You shady fuckers, man. It's amazing. So if you get an ITEL, right? If it's an Atlas Chalet, you may have to go up there and get an ITEL report. We had to send that into Allstate. We're like, listen, not a public adjuster, but ITEL is your preferred building materials examiner. Your policy says you owe for like, kind, and quality, and ITEL, your examiner says it doesn't exist, right? We nailed them, and they were like, yeah, we know we asked you to get the ITEL, but we no longer think that ITEL is the ultimate authority on like, kind, and quality. It's a matter of opinion. It's subjective. We feel like an architectural shingle is comparable. I was like, that's interesting because if I have to cut and fit a shingle, I have to, in architectural, it's 3 1/4 inches longer, 1 1/4 inches wider than a chalet. That means I can cut it lengthwise. It's fine. But once I cut it widthwise, the tar strips don't line up. It's a non-code compliant negligent. It's a negligent repair. I cannot knowingly do that. That's not legal. Well, we feel like it's okay. I said, okay, listen, Mr. Adjuster, is this your direction? Let's just keep it real for a second. What do I need to do to get this thing pushed through? He goes, dude, send a guy out there and show that it fails repair. It's like, well, we can do that. So we sent a guy out with a roof snake, you know, pried up the nails, you know, it's a fucking 18-year-old Atlas Chalet. It's already as brittle as can be anyway. Did the repair, destroyed the surrounding shingles, took a video, took pictures, sent it in, they bought the roof. Right. So again, if they're denying them, guys, that's a whole nother story. I don't know how Paul has it set up to process denials, but that's usually something that you would want to pass off to someone that's got a considerable amount of experience in that arena, because it's all just a fucking game at that point.
Yeah, we have a denial process. We do.
Yeah. So to answer your question, send it to your denial process. Any other objections? I think Andrew had one.
Yeah, here's a good one I've ran into a lot. You get to the homeowner's door, they're missing shingles, there's obvious wind damage, and they say they're renting.
Oh, I fucking hate those, right? Yeah. Well, did our canvasser, that's what you call the canvasser. Hey, fucker, people that are renting to own are still renting. So, you know, if they're renting, just say, hey, man, you have the contact information for the property owner. Right. Exactly. I mean, and maybe, if it's a big house, if it's like a small house, you might not want to waste your time, in my opinion. But if it's a decent sized roof where the roof's toast, you may want to just go ahead. If the renter's giving you permission to get on the roof, right? You may want to go ahead and get on the roof or fly your drone, do the inspection, say, hey, man, this thing's fucking toast. Check out these pictures. Do you have the contact info? Who's the property owner? What's their phone number? Right? Don't be like, hey, do you mind if we could potentially get the contact information for the property owner? So maybe you just do the inspection, and if the roof's destroyed, you show the renter some pictures. Be like, dude, your shit's gonna get destroyed soon. What's the phone number for the property owner? And
let me know if you get any of those, Andrew. We'll get it fixed.
There you go. And if you listen, if they give you the name and phone number of an individual, you're probably in like Flynn, bro. If they're like, oh, it's Ace Property Management Company. They run 30 rentals in this neighborhood. You might as well just throw that number in the fucking trash. Or go ahead and give it to Rocky. Let Rocky see if he can turn it into 30 deals. LaShonda, did you have something?
Yeah, so
that's Lee.
Yeah, it's good, dude. It urgency. So outside of you've got Betty or Ethel, right? And she's like, well, I don't see a leak. That doesn't really look bad to me. What's the driver to act now? You've got the DOL, you got that window, but what else? How do you present that?
So the biggest driver to act now is, hey, listen, your insurance company gets really, like, if it's pre-inspection. So the sense of urgency is really sealed with the inspection and the photographs, right? Photographs, videos, whatever. You come down, you're like, your roof is fucked. Like, we need to, you're lucky I showed up today. I was called out sick, but I didn't. And you're lucky because this thing would be leaking tomorrow, right? I'm going to put a tarp on it, whatever. If it's pre-inspection, if they're like, oh, I'm not interested, honey. I just, we don't have any leaks. We don't have any issues. Ma'am, all due respect, the storm that came through on January 12th was a pretty bad storm. We had 60-mile-an-hour straight line winds. Most of the damage we see, you can't see from the ground. A lot of it's related to pipe boots. It's related to thermal cracking in the ridge caps. It's related to flashing issues. We do see a considerable amount of storm damage as well. But one thing is for certain, your insurance company is always upset when people file claims after the roof leaks. It is the homeowner's obligation to make sure that they mitigate the damage. And you're supposed to have your roof inspected every 4 to 5 years. Have you? I mean, when was the last time you had it inspected? Right now you're hitting them with sense of urgency. And again, for those of you that just joined the call, like, I sound very pitchy when I'm talking right now, but if I was legitimately having a conversation with Lee, I would slow myself down. And I'd go, hey, I know, trust me, I know, they don't want to see leaks though. They really don't. Like, the insurance companies, that's a huge no-no, dude. Have you had anybody look at your roof lately? Because that January 12th storm was, it was major. I mean, it messed up a lot of these houses pretty bad. Those winds were pretty high. We've done a lot of inspections in here. We're finding some really concerning issues. So when was the last time? You might be fine though. When was the last time someone was on your roof?
It's been a while, man. Maybe you should go take a look.
You think a couple months, a couple years?
It's probably been a couple years, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so even general maintenance wise, you're supposed to have your roof inspected every 4 to 5 years minimum, and have your pipe jacks resealed, etc. I don't do repairs, so I can't go up there and do it. I'm not, but I can do an inspection. And if you need the repairs and you don't have storm damage, I can refer you. You can call our office, whatever. Hopefully, though, you have the storm damage we're seeing. But if it's been that long, listen, it takes 15 minutes. It'll take 15 minutes. I'll give you a knock as soon as I'm done. Just go in there and watch some fucking Days of Our Lives or something. I'll give you a knock in a minute, sweetheart. And next thing you know, guys, I've done that. You turn around, you start walking to the truck, you grab the ladder, and this person's like, I guess I'll just close the door now. I guess the fucking dude's getting on the roof, right? So again, a lot of it's confidence, right? You go out there and always keep in your mind, you're providing a service, right? You're doing what's in these people's best interest. They don't know what is in their best interest with regards to storm damage and roofing. They don't know. They don't have any fucking idea. So it's your job to be insistent. And if you're not insistent, you're really doing them a disservice. It's the truth, right? It sounds funny to say because we're all salesmen, and I'll sell the shit out of anything, but that's the truth, right? For those of you that weren't here in the beginning, I couldn't sell something I didn't believe in. If you wanted me to sell something, I cannot sell it, right? I won't sell it. If it's something that I'm not comfortable with it, it's not a good service, it's not a good value, it's not a good company, I might as well not work there because I can't sell shit, because I'm not going to do that to another human being. But when I'm at their door, I'm the fucking expert. And if you guys are thinking to yourselves, yeah, but Paul's in a roofing company for a decade and and we don't know as much as him, and blah, blah. How many times do you think people get an hour and a half conference call like this to get, and I'm sure Paul and you guys have plenty of other meetings as well. You guys are so saturated with knowledge and information surrounding insurance claims, storm damage, roofing. You are the expert. You know what I mean? You guys have more knowledge than the vast majority of the population. Make sure when you're there that you own the role of the expert. You are the fucking expert, right? My product knowledge, it's funny, to this day, every manufacturer and supplier knows I'm not a product knowledge guy. I'm sure Paul knows that, right? They're like, Paul, what are the specs on this? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. I have no clue. I really have no idea, right? There's a lot of things I'm good at generating business. There's lots of things that I'm not good at, right? But you guys are the experts, so don't sell yourself short. Any other objections? Anybody?
You know that I like the mindset that you said, Paul, and when you're talking to a customer, think of them as your mom.
Yeah.
And no matter what she said, I know that, my mom, it was like, I don't care. Actually, I kind of don't care. I'll be polite, but I don't care what she says.
It's happening.
The right thing to do is to get her a new roof.
Yeah.
And so you just say, listen, this is the right thing to do. You've got to do this. However you want to say, but treat her like your mom. And that's a different perspective. I like that.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up, and I like that better because what I've been telling them is you should have the attitude of the concerned parent, but it's even better to have the attitude that, this is your parent, that you would be selling it to. It's even better. So yeah, I love
and
that.
guys, and Carly was about to talk, but just to add to that, guys, it is, get out of your head that it's a numbers game. Right? If you're talking to a decision maker, it is not a fucking numbers game. It is about what you say and how you say it. If I go out knocking doors, right? If I go out for 3 hours, I'm going to get 3 to 5 leads, good leads. I'm not, don't get me wrong. I've thrown up goose eggs and shit too, but every once in a while, you go out and you only talk to teenagers, or you talk to renters, or you fucking, you have situation. Everyone, if you're going to a neighborhood where just everyone's an asshole, and you're like, I think real estate agents are just steering assholes into this neighborhood, right? So just leave the neighborhood, right? But when you're out there, if you do pretend, if you act as if these people are your mom or your family member, you are there to tell them what is in their best interest, right? You're not there to offer it because they don't understand it on a level that you do. The more insistent you are, the better. And again, the product and the service of the company that you represent and that you provide is a no-brainer. It's a win-win. You're not trying to sell a vacuum to someone that doesn't need a fucking vacuum. You're not. Would you guys try to sell them a roof? Their roof is 2 years old? Fuck no. If you're trying to sell them a roof, you already know in your heart, listen, man, your roof's fucking toast, right? This is literally the roof over your family's head, man. I know you don't think you have time. I know you don't have time. We make it quick. We make it easy. The inspection's fast. The results are great. We walk you through the process. Let me do what I do. Let me just get on the roof. We'll talk about it. Let's see what we got to talk about. Carly, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I take our claims after they've already been inspected, or not our claims, our leads after they've already been inspected, and I'm trying to get their claim going over the phone. So I don't know what's been said to them at the door. I don't know what's been said to them when they book their appointment. I wasn't damn there, so I don't know. And I get a lot of people who I will go into the spiel, show them their photos that are super damaged, go into the whole concern spiel, and no matter what, no, or I'll think about it, never answer my call again.
I personally feel like it's a face-to-face. It's a face-to-face thing. I'm not trying to convince Paul to change his processes. But it's much harder to tell someone no when you're looking them in the eyes.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm standing there and I'm showing you photographs of the damage that I just took on your roof 5 minutes ago. Right. And I always make sure I get the neighbor's car or something in the photos too. Right. If I'm on the roof, because they might think, oh, you're showing me. People are not trusting. Right. So I feel like same with collections. My team is like, hey, we're having a hard time collecting. Have you gone to the house? Well, no. I had a guy last night. A guy owed us $28,000 August, right? And we don't have 10 of those. We have fucking 80 of those. Paul, was I bitching about that to you the other day? My collections, I need to have a conference call with Paul in my collections department so you can tell them how to collect fucking money. And but my guy was like, man, I don't want to go there and bother them at 8 o'clock. Motherfucker, what? You owe me $28,000? I show up at fucking midnight. Get your checkbook. Hey, what's up? I'm Paul. I happen to be in the neighborhood. Yeah. Grab a checkbook. But it's hard. It's easy if I get them on the phone for them to say, oh, we'll mail the payment next week. Hey, I'm really busy. I just put dinner on the oven. Or on the stove. Can I call you back? If I'm standing there looking you in the eyes, it's hard to not go get that checkbook, right? It's hard to not file that claim if I'm showing you all the reasons why you should file. Because here's what I think that you're dealing with, right? When I think through it. And I've left this out of my little sales presentation here. I always tell my team, you can close yeses, you can close nos. There's one type of person you will never fucking close, right? It's indifference. If they just don't give a fuck, you can't close them. And there are a number of reasons that people are indifferent. You knock on the door and they're like, hey, how are you? I'm so sorry. My dog just died 10 minutes ago. Fuck, good luck with that. I can't sell that person a roof, right? It's reasonable to assume that they are completely indifferent with regard to their roof right now. It doesn't matter what I say. The roof could be on fire and it wouldn't be a priority for them, right? Hey, man, what's up? Hey, my wife just left me, right? I'm on a work call as we speak, right? They open the door and the kids are dressed for ballet and the dog runs out of the door and runs down the fucking street. I'm like, see ya. Yeah, I hate when that happens. I'm like, damn, that was a big ass roof. It's a shame that lady's not going to make ballet now because I have to chase her dog around the fucking neighborhood for 30 minutes. Actually, I'd probably get that one. But there's a number of reasons that people are indifferent. And a lot of people, when they're on the phone, right, indifference is usually kind of the same as if you're preoccupied, it leads to being indifferent, right? When my wife is like, hey, what do you want to eat for lunch? And I'm like, I'm on my Bluetooth and I'm sending an email and I'm looking at charts and shit. She's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know, Houston's, whatever. I don't care. I'm preoccupied. Therefore, I'm indifferent. I don't give a fuck. McDonald's, Houston's, Chops, I don't fucking care. Just hand me a potato, right? I'm not, and I don't care. So you cannot, she can't really engage me in a meaningful conversation. When people are on the phone, are you a mom, Cody? Carly? So you probably have kids hanging on your fucking leg. You're like, hey, how you? Get off your fucking leg, kid. Right? You're trying to make a grilled cheese. You've got, you got a million things going on. It's really hard to capture your undivided attention on the phone. Hey, open your email. You know what? Paul probably hates this too, right? We have conference calls with all kinds of vendors and everything else. Paul, I don't know if this happens to you often. It does me. And I'm always on the go, right? I'm usually never in this office. And I'm like, yeah, let's do, Tuesday at 3. And I get on the phone and they're like, we need you to be in front of your computer. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't see that note. Right? I can put you in my AirPods while I drive down the road, but I don't, I can't be in front of my computer. I'm too preoccupied. I have too much to do. So I feel like the process of filing the claim really should be face-to-face. Your closing ratios will skyrocket. You need to be showing them the pictures right there face-to-face. And honestly, in my opinion, you should do it immediately after the inspection. Hey man, what's up? I'm here for the 4 o'clock inspection. I started to, even when I was knocking my own doors, this is my door knock pitch. Knock, knock. let me get in character here. Hey, how's it going? I'm Paul. I'm with Regal Roofing. I'm so sorry to bother you. I hate knocking doors. But anyway, I've got 10 minutes of downtime before my 12:15 inspection. And I'm a little bit early. I noticed your garage is open. Your roof's pretty old. Has anybody looked at it since that storm came through January 12th? No, we're not interested. Have you had your roof? Have we already looked at it? No, we're not interested. Well, hey, hold on. Listen, again, I hate knocking doors. I'm sorry to bother you, but this is quick. It's quick. It's easy. We do storm damage roof inspections. I'm certified with Hague Engineering. It takes 15 minutes. All I'm doing is looking for damage that's consistent with that storm. If you got storm damage, I'd probably make your insurance pay for roof. All these roofs, all ones you see, the insurance paid for them. It's a no-fault claim. Again, I can't do anything right now. I don't have time anyway, but are you usually here around this time? What do you mean storm damage? We have the storm, January 12th. We just do inspections for storm damage because if you have storm damage, your insurance pays for it. It's a catastrophic claim. It's an act of God claim. So it's a win-win. You get a roof and I get to make money. But you have to have the damage, right? So I don't know. Are you going to be here tomorrow around the same time? Again, I got to go, but what's your phone number? I'll be in the neighborhood tomorrow. I'll stop by around the same time tomorrow. And like I said, it's only 15 minutes. So, I'll pop in. What's your number? And then I take the number, right? And then the next day, right? You see what I did there? Now all of a sudden I'm like, what? The person's like, I guess we're getting a fucking roof inspection. They don't feel like I've been too forceful on them, right? But I just got an inspection. And then I come back for the inspection. I'm like, hey, what's up? How are you? Yeah, I actually got another one right after you. Make them feel like you're in demand. People like to be in relationships, business, personal, whatever, with people that are in demand, right? I told my little leaguers, they're like, hey, Coach Paul, how do we get girls? Right? I'm not the best looking, fastest talking, richest guy in the block. I got a beautiful wife, but I can get girls. I know the secret, right? I said, act like you have better things to do. I don't know what it is. Look, Carly's like, no way. Girls, for whatever reason, when you're like, hey, how are you? Open the door for them and carry their bags for them and shit. They don't want you. When you act like you got better things to do and you hardly even notice them, you're like, man, I like that motherfucker. Human beings like to do business with people that are in high demand. If they feel like you're in there for the neighbors and you're all over the place, like they want to do business with you. Now, hey man, I actually have one right after this. But anyway, I'm glad I popped in yesterday. It's funny, I usually don't just stop and knock, which is that is a small untruth that I'm willing to say in order to close deals, right? Never lie about price or product, but and I don't really lie about much, but I will say I usually don't knock, but it's just part of my pitch. It's part of sales, right? If you ever dealt with investment bankers or anybody else, they say a whole lot of other shit. I'm glad I popped in yesterday. I saw your garage open. I figured, that's an old roof. But anyway, special will take 15 minutes. Let me see what we got going on. Diagram any damage with chalk. You might be one of the lucky ones, man. You might be one of the lucky ones. Hopefully you have the damage. Blessing in disguise. We can file a claim today and I'll help you. That way I can give them the date of loss and I can give them the type of loss and I can give them the damage report, answer whatever questions they have. You have any other questions for me? No? All right, let me get up here. Who thinks that deal's not closed? That fucking deal's closed. That's a done deal. You think that lady's going to tell me no when I get down and show her pictures of a completely destroyed roof? No fucking way. That deal's done, right? So when you're at the house and you have the ability to keep the momentum, right? You've got the pictures and you've got our contingency is a damage report. I still have sales guys that are like, well, I need you to sign a contingency. All right, a contingency? It's a damage report. I just need you to sign this. It gives me permission to talk to the insurance. It tells you about the damage, and of course it says if I get it approved, you give me the business. I'm not trying to hide that, but that's not the primary purpose of that report. It's to tell them the date of loss, type of loss, or Paul, however you guys do it, date of discovery, same as date of loss, whatever. Date of discovery, let the insurance determine what the date of loss is. But I feel like the claims filing, it really needs to be at the door because anybody I know that has had this issue in the past that has brought it to my attention, that's been filing after the fact, particularly over the phone, the ratios are just astronomically lower than if you file while that sense of urgency is high. You get off the roof, you tell them you're going to do the inspection. They go in the house with their spouse and they say, roof looks fine from the driveway, honey. We're not filing a claim. I'm going to probably run to the gym real quick. Well, just wait for him to come down. I mean, it's probably fine, but I don't think we should file a claim either. Right? And they start, making lunch or whatever. You ring the doorbell and you're like, hey, all right, roof's fucking toast. Check this shit out. Right? You start showing them pictures of hail damage, thermal cracking, pipe jacks that are split, flashings pulling away, gutters with granules. Yeah, man, let's go ahead and file that claim. Well, you've already told them about the claim before you got on the roof. Let's go ahead and file it. Show them the pictures first. Go ahead and make sure all this information is accurate. I'm going to go ahead and start calling. 900 SF claim. Yeah, your address, your phone number, the damage report's right here, as you can see. Now, once they answer the phone, I'm not the homeowner, so I'm gonna have to hand it to you, confirm I'm gonna file it. But they have questions. They always just ask me, "Hey, how you doing? We need to file a claim for wind and hail damage, Jackford, Georgia." Here you go. That's it. But it's all about control. You have to control the entire situation, the entire deal from start to finish, and you have to impose your will. Again, when I go to the door and knock a door, I'm talking, chatting with whoever I'm training or whatever about a million fucking things. I go to that door. As soon as I ring that doorbell, I'm a completely different person. You might as well not talk to me because I don't hear a fucking word you say. Because my only objective there is to get that person at the door to do what I want them to do. And I'm not a dick about it. I'm pretty smooth about it. But it is nothing. I am the expert. I am in control of the situation. I am going to tell them what is in their best interest. And then I'm going to impose my will on them to do what is in their best interest. And again, if it wasn't in their best interest, I would not do it. I couldn't do it. I don't have that in my DNA. And all of you guys seem like decent people. You work for Paul. I'm sure you're a decent person. So don't feel bad about being an insistent salesperson. But I feel like the claims process really should take place at the door after the inspection while the sense of urgency is hot. Because if they take the pictures and you got a week to think about it and you're trying to explain to them all the damage and they're not in front of their computer, so they're telling you they're looking at the pictures, but they're not. And they got a fucking kid on their leg and their dog just ran out the front door. Their pooper scooper just showed up. Paul, you got dogs?
No.
bro, I got a company that scoops the poop in my backyard, $50 a month, once a week.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I figure you would.
What a great idea, dude. When I
Mm.
was younger, you couldn't even walk in my backyard.
Hey, Paul, just respectful of your time. I think, unless anybody has anything pressing, I think we're going to kind of wrap this up.
I'm billing you for 2 hours though. Just so
I figured that. And go ahead. This has been great. Anything have anybody quick, but I think I'd like to give Paul some time to go and play with his kids, go to school,
I'm going to the gym, buddy.
at a tea time or something like that.
Lee's already in the gym. Look, Lee's like,
Yeah,
fuck
I
this,
know.
I got things to do. If Paul, if you ever want to set one of these up again, guys, because I know I gave you a lot of information, but the most valuable stuff is create interest, create a sense of urgency, eliminate risk, set the expectation before you get on the roof, ask them for their objections before you get on the roof, make sure you take pictures, show them to them, and then you file with them, right? And own your confidence is number one. Know that you're the expert and go in there and sell them like they're your mother. And your numbers will skyrocket. It is not a numbers game. Do not just knock a whole bunch of doors and think people are going to say yes, because they fucking won't. Right? Turn no's into yeses. Keep yeses into yeses. Turn no's into yeses. If you can tell someone's indifferent, don't waste your fucking energy. Right? Anybody? Anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Boy.
Thanks, Paul.
Hey,
Anytime,
thanks, Paul.
guys.
This has been great. You're terrific. I owe you.
Yeah,
I'll give you
no
a
worries,
call.
buddy. I think I still owe you anyway. You guys go out and crush, and any of y'all are welcome to contact me anytime, Paul.
All right.
And
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
hey,
See you
team.
guys. Good luck. Crush it this weekend.
Thank you, Paul.
All right.
And,
Later.
hey, for my team, I'll go ahead and give you individual calls today, and we'll forego the Zoom meeting. I'll call you up if you have anything needed from me. Give me a call. Anybody have anything right now that they need? Just real quick. So a lot of great stuff. We'll go over it tomorrow or on the phone call. Reach out to me if you need me. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.